Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's just about noon, about 6 minutes until noon on Friday, May 31st, 2024. I'm going to do another video here about structure, pivots, VPA, and content. Just trying to put this all together, and I'll be doing other videos to add more context to all of these methods as I go forward. So, as usual, the market is your teacher, and that's essentially what this series is about. Risk disclaimer: any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Before I get into the structure and so on, I want to point out that this is a very strange day in the market. I'm looking at my other computer, and the NASDAQ futures are now down 320. The ES futures are down 37.25.71%. The NASDAQ futures are down 1.72%, and so on. So it's really an ugly day on the futures. The S&P 400 is only down slightly, 0.07%. S&P 500 is down 0.66, and the Dow is up slightly. Now, what I have here is my top-down analysis view in the Major Markets Plus folder, which is located in the User Smart Groups under Market Analysis User Groups. And I'm right here, and I'm using my number 2 view, which shows under top-down process intraday indexes and ETFs intraday. But you can see that most of these are down, not all, but what has been leading, or what had been leading, I should say, the SOX, you can see it's down 3.19% right now. Bitcoin is down. I just have the GBTC and the BITO in here, but you can see the percentages that they're down. What is up are the VIX, or the Ultra VIX, the utilities, the transports, the industrials are up slightly, and small caps are also up, and the NYSE composite. You look at the numbers for the indexes, or some of the indexes and the futures, it just looks like a horrible day. But going down into the market, and by the way, if you are an Insider Club member, and if you update your add-on, what I've done is I've moved this Major Markets Components back up to the top of the list. And the reason I had it in there, but it was buried down below, and I want to feature this because on a day like this, when you have a real mixed market and you have part of it down sharply, you can really get a feel for what's going on in the market by going to your tools menu and rebuilding the user smart groups, and it's going in and pulling out the information being updated by Thinkorswim. And as soon as this finishes, I'll show you how you can get more of an insight into the markets. Just finished. Doesn't take long, and now I'm going to reopen this major market component stocks and so on. All stocks in the major indexes combined. If you look up at this number right here, this is the number, and here's the number that are up, 1370. These are the ones in the S&P 500, the OEX, the Dow, and the NASDAQ 100. And there are 1,038 down compared to 1,370 up. So you can see that by just clicking on these, you get a quick read on what's going on after the smart groups are rebuilt. On the Dow Jones 30, 18 up, 12 down. Transports up 13, down 7. Utilities 12 up, 2 down. And then if you want to go in and look at these stocks. You can just look at these individual, transfer them to the warehouse view, and you can see how much they're up, and etc. Now I'm going to go down, look at the S&P 1500, which is a broad look at the markets, and you can see that there are 842 up and 576 down. So on the surface, the market looks terrible, but underneath, when you look within the indexes, it looks a lot better. I'm going to look at the S&P 600. Let's take a look at this. 335 up, 198 down. The S&P small cap 600 is up. I'm just going to transfer these up to the warehouse view, and I'll just stay in this same view. Then I'm going to sort on the industry percentage price change, and I can see where the strength is within the S&P 600 just by sorting on the industry percentage price change. Coal operations are doing well. Coals is doing well. Refining and marketing is doing well. Especially apparel stores are doing well. And just by scrolling down the list, I can see where the strength is here. Okay, I've got the top stock up here. I don't really like the looks of this one. Let's go down to the next one. EchoStar. This looks a lot more promising. I'm going to talk about this as far as the structure goes, and then we'll look at it with the other charts also. So you can see there was a big gap down here. I'm going to start in here and just hit my alternate A key, which brings up the annotation tools. I'm going to click on the arrow, the line and the arrow, and let's start looking at this. So remember from the prior videos that structure is the high or the low compared to the high, high compared to the low, and then the open to the close is the direction. This has a positive direction on the open to close, but the structure, I'm going to say, is down because it closed a lot lower than this one. Now on this one right here, the structure begins here from the low and it closed at the high. So negative structure, positive structure. This one opened a little lower. Buyers came into it though, but it closed lower than the prior, so I'm going to make that negative structure. This one here, this candle here, that is positive structure because it closed higher than the prior one. Okay, this one is positive structure, positive direction, positive structure, positive direction. Negative structure because it closed lower. This one's positive structure and direction. That didn't take. Okay, negative structure and direction, but it's only a one bar pullback. Here is positive. Need to straighten that out. This one's just slightly negative, but the structure is down. This one's positive. I'm not concerned about 1 or 2 day pullbacks. This would be slightly negative. And this one would be negative, but see, this is just a 2 day pullback. Shouldn't be concerned about a 2 day pullback. I know it can be painful, but the trend really doesn't change unless you get 3 days or more. Now the positive structure reappears on this one and this one. This is real time today. So let's go back and look at this. Now this here, this low, long wick here, this could be considered a pivot low. But what would have to happen for this to be confirmed? It would have to take out the high of the prior day. And it doesn't have to be on the following day. It can be right here where it took out, here's the low pivot, it took out the high on this day. So that could be a pivot low. So we have a pivot low and we have structural highs. I'm going to close this and we're going to drop down to my next chart under context charts, and let's see what we have here for VPA flags. Here, this one, if you look up here, it's transfer of ownership because of the wide wicks. You can see that it was indecision. That's when you're going to get these transfer of ownerships. Now, we didn't get any VPA flags until right here where this would be a confirmed pivot, and that was an effort to rise. Here we had no supply on this slight pullback. Here we had another effort to rise. Here we had a test, and we had another test here. It was just consolidating right here, and then here is a confirmation of that test. Now let's take it down to the next level. Now these arrows are all going to disappear on this view, and what we have here is the industry group is blue and the relative strength compared to the industry, and you can see that it's been going up. So this has been outperforming the cable and satellite group, which has 13 stocks in this group. The three get a crossover. Look at this, it was on that same day as the confirmation of this confirmed low pivot, which was right in here, if you remember that, and the crossover was right there. This could just be a coincidence, but that's when it did occur. So I'm going to put the crosshair on, and you can see that the VPOC turned positive the prior day. The 3 went above the 6 right here, and then as this stock moved up, had to get clear up here, but there were confirming pocket pivots. Now I'm going to drop down. I'll use the fan with the moving averages, and you can see that this fan was not in an uptrend, a confirmed uptrend, until today. And the reason I'm saying that is the black, or the 50-day moving average, I'm sorry, the 100-day moving average crossed through the 200-day moving average. So this stock has gone from a down fan where the 200 is up here and all the moving averages are below it, and then as it started to move up here, you can see that the 3 went through the 6, the 18 followed, and then the 50 and the 100, the 200 was here, but now it's in a fan uptrend. If this continues, and the odds are that it's going to, since it's gained enough momentum to complete the fan, unless this reverses today, just keep an eye on this, see what it does when you look at this video in the future. Now, I didn't look at this stock before. I just grabbed it and the chart looked good, so I went through the process. Now, there's one more thing on context. Let's look at the weekly chart. And you can see on the weekly chart, most of these structures, or the structure was mostly positive here, and same thing on the direction. So you can do the structure on the weekly charts too, or you can just limit them to the daily chart, whatever you want to do. The structure on the weekly chart gives you a longer term perspective, and here you can see the structure was down. There were two weeks that were up and then down again. Never did get 2 weeks in a row until we got down here where it started building a positive structure. Okay, I'm going to go back up to this chart. I'm going to add to my current watch list because I like the structure of this. I went through the process. it has made a pretty good move already, but it looks like it could be breaking out to the upside and continuing. So it's going in my watch list. Now I want to get rid of all this. So I'm going to right mouse click and clear all annotations. It clears it off of both of these white charts. Okay, I'm going to minimize this. Let's take a look here at I'll look at Peabody. It's a $25 stock. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, well you can see the structurally, and I'm sure, well, let's just look at this. You can see clearly down for a long time, but then we started seeing some activity in here as far as tests, confirmation of that test. But let's go, I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to look at this structurally. I'll just start it here. Directions down, structures down, 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 down. Now this is a little bit higher here than this close, so the structure, I'm going to say this is structurally up, just because this close is slightly higher than this close. And then this one is up, directions up, structures up. Now this one's down, this one's up, even though there was price rejection here with this long wick. And this one, well, that's about neutral. It's down a little bit. I'm going to cheat and just make that neutral, because, and I did that because of the open is here and the close is here. So the direction is positive, although the structure is slightly down. Structure up, structure down, structure up, structure up, structure up. And what are we looking for here? We're looking for 3 higher highs and or a low pivot. I'm going to say this is a low pivot right here. So for this to be confirmed, it's going to have to take out the prior day's high right here. When did that happen? Didn't happen until, well, it happened on there, but really when it cleared it was on this candle right here. So this would be a confirmation of this low pivot. We've got kind of a mess here. But after that, you can see that there are 2 down days here. We don't worry about 2 down days, and it continues to move up. Here's a down day. This is actually an up day compared to this day. Here's another down day, and then it's up. So from this low pivot on, it really hasn't changed the direction of the trend. I'm going to come back and clean this up in a minute, but first I want to look at the VPA flags and see what they tell us. So here's a test. Here's another test. Here's a confirmation of this test before the low pivot. Here is an effort to rise. Now let's take a look at, I'll close that. Let's go down and look at the 3-6. Here's our 3-6 crossover right here, it looks like. If this is considered the low pivot, well, here's a lower pivot here. But I really like to see a higher low than the lowest. So this would be a higher low pivot after this low here, and then the confirmation was right here. And that's about the same time. Well, let's go back and see. That's right after that black bar. Is right here was the 3 crossing the 6. And that's where I drew the confirmed pivot line across. Now, yes, this is subjective, but it also makes me, and anybody who does this methodology, aware of structure, direction, and VPA using HDSI, and then bringing the moving averages into play. As this has moved up, there have been some high pivots here, but no confirmation. This could be a high pivot, but we haven't had 2 down days or 2 lower lows. So the trend has not changed. As I stated earlier, this can be subjective, but it does help me focus on what's really happening within a stock index or whatever when I look at the structure and direction, and then use the other context charts to see where the price is relative to moving averages and VPA flags. Now the optimum buy point is back in this area where the crossover occurred a little bit late. It's already made a move. I'm going to just put it in my watch list to keep track of it. Then I'll go back up to this chart. Clear all annotations. You can do it there, or you can just bring this up and click on this minus, and that'll clear all the annotations off the chart. Okay, I think I'll do one more quickly and then call it good. Okay, I'm going to take a look at Shoe Carnival. The reason I want to look at this is because it has a strong RS rank both in the Kirkpatrick and the HCSI. It crossed over 5 days ago. Let's take a look at it. It doesn't trade much volume. That's one problem with it. But here's the chart. Click on my alternate A keys and bring this up. Okay, let's start right here. Here's a low pivot. Here's a low pivot right here, and this would be right here's a pivot, and for this to be considered a confirmed pivot, it has to take out the high of the prior day. Here's a pivot here. This is a higher low pivot, and that would be a buy right here. And then there were not 2 down days in a row until right here. So this would be the high upper pivot too. You could look at it this way, high upper pivot. But the trend is up. So I'm looking for a couple of down days. So these 2 down days in a row structurally really change the trend from up to down, and then it comes down here. So to reverse this, let me straighten that up. We either need 3 higher highs, or the 3rd higher high, or a low pivot, and I'm going to say this is the low pivot, and to get higher than the prior day would be right here on this one. So that's where it changes from a pullback, where a trend change to the downside, to an uptrend, and as you can see, it continues to go higher. Now let's look at this with a VPA. See if we have any signals. I don't know if we do or not. We have 2 stopping volumes right here in a row. Look at the big volume bars here. Here's your pivot. Here's an effort to rise. Couple of spinning tops. Here's a down VPA flag, high volume down bar. indicates weakness, but that was surpassed the following day, so the trend remains up. Now let's compare it to the crossovers here. And here's your crossover on this day right here, which would be a confirmation of the low pivot right through here. It's updating the price. And it happened on this bar right here. It opened, traded down, and then went back up. But this would be a confirmation of this pivot and the 3 cross the 6. I'll just get rid of these annotations. And let's take a look at where we are. This stock's clearly in an uptrend because the fan is in place. Here's the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for pullbacks here with confirmed pivots or the third higher high, and ideally we'd have a crossover and we'd be in an uptrend, be in a strong group. Now, the group is outperforming this stock because there have been some big movers within this group recently, but this is a nice looking chart too. It's past the optimum buy point. I'm going to add it to the group anyway and maybe take a look at it. Now I'm going to be gone next week, but I'll be back the following week and do more of these videos using these techniques, and then I'll get into some other things also. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and have a good week.